My name's Will DeFries, and this is a Sunday Scaries podcast, your cure for the Sunday blues. Longtime listeners of this podcast know that routine plays a major part in ensuring that I have a relaxing Sunday. After waking up and making a cup of coffee, more often than not, I head straight to my couch to watch some soccer. That is, unless it's race week. Whether it's Saturday's practice and qualifying or Sunday's Grand Prix, F1 has become a major part of a lot of people's weekend routines over the last few years. As a longtime F1 fan myself, it's something I've rarely discussed on this show. That is, until today. Introducing today's guest, a former colleague of mine, a current friend, and somehow the most knowledgeable person I know when it comes to F1. Ladies and gentlemen, Jared Borislow of Formula Bone. Jared, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. It's been a long time coming. I feel like Formula One and Sundays go perfectly together, considering that's the day it's on. So happy to be here.
That usually, that signifies that they go pretty well together. Jared, here's the begging question. How and why did you get so into F1 in the first place?
Yeah, I think the reason that you are so surprised I'm the most knowledgeable person you know about F1 is because I literally did not get into it until last year.
I mean, I think a lot of people did not get into it until F1's Drive to Survive series on Netflix, and I think that's totally understandable. How did you go from being a casual F1 viewer to being now like making a living off of just covering F1?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because, like you said, I got into Formula One from Netflix's Drive to Survive, like pretty much everybody that people know nowadays who got into Formula One. And I would have never thought I would actually like Formula One because I do not like NASCAR. Do you like NASCAR, Will?
No, I mean, I think that there's a world where I could get into it, but I think that now that I've gone into the F1 world, I don't think that I have enough, capacity in my life to watch varying race sports. It's just not really for me.
And oval racing is just not for me. I mean, the thing about oval racing is like the races are minimum 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like on a Sunday, I love 2 hours is fine, for a little bit of race action. I love it. It's beautiful. But when you get to 3, sometimes races will go 6 hours for NASCAR. I just can't put that much of my Sunday into that.
No. And there's times during F1 races where you'll have a flag and suddenly you're sitting there for an hour on end just waiting for them to clean up the track. And even that kind of gets away from me. But most of the time you can kind of get a race done. And how long does it actually take?
Hour 45, generally around 2 hours. 2 hours is actually the maximum race time limit. If it goes longer than 2 hours, they just say that whatever lap that they're on is the final lap.
But does that have anything to do with the stoppages, or is that because the cars would be racing slow for some reason?
It does have to do with stoppages. So if there's a red flag, for example, they will extend it past that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But so going back to, Drive to Survive, which is the main reason that anybody nowadays actually cares about F1 realistically. Like I said, I would have never thought I would actually like Formula One, but the differences between F1 and NASCAR are so big, and I would have never known that if not for watching the show. Like I said, 2 hours is a race. Very digestible. Then the cars are actually going around circuits and using their brakes a lot, and I would have never thought saying cars are braking is actually entertaining, but it's way more entertaining than NASCAR where they do not brake. They actually just lift. So if you're going around an oval circuit, they're not braking around the corners. They're just lifting their foot off the gas.
Not going full gas.
Yeah, and then, you and I are both... it's not an Anglophile because it's all of Europe. A Europhile, is that a thing?
I'll take that as a thing. I think that's fair.
Actually, I think that's something else. Now that I think about that, something not as good. Well, I like European vibes. I like European vibes. I'm a longtime Tottenham fan. Mm-hmm. I know you're a Manchester United fan, and I apologize for that.
Go on.
Sorry, I didn't want to bring that up. So the thing about Drive to Survive, for me, for many other people, is that it turned F1 into a reality TV show that you can also follow as a sport, which I think is one of the most groundbreaking TV genres of all time, and is why the PGA and tennis are both actually working with Box to Box Films, the producers of Drive to Survive, to make their own TV shows about those sports.
And you can see they're even, I played a clip on, I think last week's episode of the Sunday Scaries podcast. I did a clip from Make or Break, which is essentially the surfing version on Apple TV Plus.
That looks awesome.
I finished the series and it's a great Sunday watch. It's beautiful scenery. It's really entertaining. You learn a lot because, not that many people know about, professional surfing. Yeah. But I had the same kind of, I immediately started following these surfers, just like I imagine a lot of people just started following these drivers. Yes. I'd been following F1, I guess. I don't even know when it was. Verstappen was, Vettel was on Red Bull when I was watching for the first time before he went to Ferrari, and the rest is history. But even then, I had a huge lapse in my viewing until Drive to Survive came out, and then I just got right back into it again. I would always kind of keep track, but I really did stop watching for a while.
You and I have talked. You are, as far as like F1 is concerned, you're an OG. You were watching in like 2011.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my friend was overseas. He was stationed overseas, and he was big into F1, and it was a sport that he decided that he was just going to get into. It wasn't like he grew up watching it or anything like that. It was like, no, this is a cool sport. I'm going to get into it. And because he couldn't get race recaps being on, doing what he was doing, I decided that I would just live blog the races to him. And it was the best way to get me in because I just had to write about it right away.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you dive in when you started doing it to get all, I mean, so much now. And you actually, I mean, you have to know a lot or else you get called out for it. How did you dive in so much further than just watching the series?
Yeah. So really, when I got into F1, I kind of noticed that there were the established F1 content brands that were making content for existing long-term fans. They were not really explaining concepts. They were just announcing like, oh, this strategy, the undercut, the overcut, DRS. And like a lot of people don't know what those things are and thus can't get into F1 or even, really take in that F1 content because it's just inaccessible to them. And so I also saw that there were a lot of newer F1 fans who got in from Drive to Survive really playing into the more like meme culture side of it. Like, people meme reality TV shows all the time. Drive to Survive is a reality TV show. So I really saw that there's a way you can bridge those two things together, right? You can bridge the gap between the new and old F1 fans and the content they take in. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do with Formula Bone, where it's comedic, it's lighthearted, and I try to make it pretty simplified and accessible to new fans and old fans alike, while also remaining, very authentic and making it clear, like, I'm not an expert. Like I said, I've only been watching Formula One since last year, which that alone gave me definitely some imposter syndrome because when my videos started to blow up, kind of, I'd say near the end of last year, I have 100,000 plus followers on TikTok, 130K as of today. I think I just hit that. And, sometimes I'll look at that and go, these people think I'm some expert. I'm not. I'm this new fan. I've only been watching for like a year. I feel like I shouldn't be doing this. But I think, part of the whole brand is to get new fans into the sport. And I think new fans seeing a new fan making content and doing all this research and getting super into the sport shows these new fans that it's okay to be a new fan.
Yeah.
The only way you can become a fan is being a new fan first.
Well, I see a lot of the comments on your TikTok of people being like, thank you so much for this video. This just explained so well to me. And like, it kind of makes me like, I get like pumped for you when I see that because I'm one of those people too. I know the certain rules, but things change so fast in F1 that it is hard to keep up if you're not really paying attention, doing your research and figuring it out. And so just having that digestible stuff from you makes it so much easier on someone like me who has been watching for, 10 years on and off. But you have done a very good job of bridging that gap. And I honestly, thank you, Jared. Like
You're welcome.
Your content has made me, able to ask or to answer questions that people ask me in public when they start talking about F1. And I say, oh yeah, I've been watching for a while now. And then they're like, okay, well, like, how does DRS work? Why do they change the tires all the time? Tires with a Y, all these kind of things. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know the actual answers to this.
Hey, I very much appreciate that. It's, like I said, that's why I do it, but also you get me through my Sundays. So it's mutually beneficial. We're just making stuff for each other.
Well, if people are wanting to get into F1, what's the best gateway drug that isn't Drive to Survive?
Yeah. So I would always say Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
Like if you've not seen it and you want to get into F1, Drive to Survive is the thing that has gotten me into it. It's gotten so many people into it. And it gives you just like this framework and knowledge about the sport and the drivers that makes it so you could instantly watch a race and enjoy it. But if you need a little bit of a drug before you commit to watching 4 seasons of a reality TV show, I would say Rush, the movie, is very popular. And then there's 2 documentaries, one called Schumacher about Michael Schumacher and one called Senna about Ayrton Senna, 2 of the like F1 drivers that are in the GOAT debate.
Yes.
I say definitely check those out. Those are good.
Are you allowed to say who you're a fan of?
Okay. There's this crazy like battle that goes in the comment section. If I ever compliment Lewis, all the comments are like, you freaking biased Lewis fan, you stink. And if I ever compliment Max, all the comments are, oh, you biased Max fan, you stink. I am a neutral F1 fan. I will say that forever. I'm a neutral F1 fan. I'm not going to pick sides because once you pick sides, you can't make the content as good as possible. I obviously like all the drivers. There are some I like more than others.
Do you at least have a soft spot when you see someone like Checo take a podium or something like that?
Yeah. There's no drivers I dislike now that Mazepin's out of the sport. But yeah, I mean, I'm always rooting for Yuki. If you watched the most recent season of Drive to Survive, Yuki Tsunoda might be the funniest athlete in the world. And I had no idea about that until watching Drive to Survive. Love him. Valtteri Bottas.
Yes.
Phenomenal. Yes. Big Valtteri guy. Yeah, I mean, all the drivers are very likable in their own ways. There are some that are a little more milquetoast. But even then, like, you can find ways to humanize them and find like, oh, they're not just this stiff, like they actually have a personality.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have my favorites, but I'll keep those to myself for now. We're going to get to your some Sunday questions towards the end of this episode, but from start to finish, assuming you have no work responsibilities, what would your F1 morning routine look like? Okay.
I've always said this. I am not a morning person at all. And this stems from in high school, I had to wake up at 5:30 every morning. And ever since I left, I was like, I'm not going to be a morning person ever again. So there are two exceptions to that. One is a tee time. I can always wake up for a tee time, whether it's ball golf or real golf, aka disc golf.
Okay.
Sorry, I just had to piss everybody off with that one. And also Formula One races. So the second my alarm goes off in the morning, I am energized. I'm ready to go because I know the second that you hear that Formula One theme song, my heart races. That theme song that they have is unbelievable. They got the montage that goes. So I wake up 10 minutes before the race every time. Can't wake up earlier. Not a morning person. Go right to the bathroom as fast as I can. Go to the TV. I have the F1 TV app, which if it's good, it's solid. You can also usually watch the races on ESPN, not have to pay more money if you already have ESPN. Put it on. I always try to put it on before they do the intro because I love it so much. And if I don't, I'll just play the intro on my phone to pump me up.
Okay. I like that.
If I remember, I will schedule the coffee maker the night before so that I'll have a fresh pot of Joe.
Wow. Must be nice to have the scheduled coffee pot.
I usually forget and I just do an espresso. Have to have a fleece blanket on me because my fiance keeps the apartment at 67 degrees.
It's perfect. It's perfect temperature.
I don't know.
I'm a 68 degree guy. So, I mean, you know. I'm cold-blooded.
Yeah, I guess so. And then I live tweet the race at Formula Bone, not to plug myself too hard.
You're allowed to.
Then the best part is enjoying the rest of the day because I've woken up. I've had a very enjoyable morning watching my favorite sport to watch. And then I'm up before I would have already been up. And it feels like I've been up for hours because my heart's been pumping. You
feel accomplished. It's almost like you ran errands and did stuff. Like that's part of the reason I love European sports in the morning on weekends because it gets me up. It gets my juices flowing. And then I can go about my day as if nothing ever happened. It's perfect. This weekend, we have one of the most, I think there are two very Sunday Scaries venues that F1 visits every year. One of which is this weekend in Monaco. Can you guess the other one?
Sunday Scaries ones. I mean, I would say.
This is a hard question.
So I would say there's two, my two guesses would be the US GP.
Well, that one too.
But Abu Dhabi?
I would say the Red Bull Ring. I love the trees surrounding it. I just love the vibe of the entire race. It's just so aesthetically pleasing to me from just the tree standpoint everywhere. I just love it.
Until they bring back the, was it the Hockenheim ring? Is that the one that goes literally through a forest? It cuts through a forest.
I'll take it.
On the other side.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
So we have Monaco this weekend. It's probably is it the most sacred venue in F1?
It is. It is.
Why?
So, okay. It's interesting because as a lot of people know, the race at Monaco is not the draw.
Correct.
Right? So the two main draws for the Monaco Grand Prix are the history of the race. It was first run in 1929, very, very long time ago. And this weekend will be the 79th running of it. So it took 15 years off ever since 1929. Very historic race. One of the most historic motorsport races in the world, along with the Indianapolis 500 and the 24 Hours of Le Mans endurance race. It makes up the quote-unquote triple crown of motorsport.
Will you ever, I'm going to take a quick break from Monaco. Will you ever get into the Le Mans and cover that at all?
I have a lot of friends who are into it. It's 24 hours long. If I think a NASCAR race is too long, that seems like a bit much.
Yeah, I got excited a couple years ago because I was just scrolling through the television. I saw that it was on, and I was like, oh, it's real early. And then the next day, I turned it back on. I was like, oh, we're still rolling right now. This is great. I'm having fun.
I have a friend who races in the virtual one, where you and your friends take shifts. You every 6 hours, you get onto the computer and get into the car and then you have to like actually do like pit stops and change drivers and stuff.
It's sad that I would do that.
It looks insane. Imagine driving a 6-hour shift in a sim rig. Like, you literally can't get out of the car. It's like doing a road trip, but you can't even go pee.
It sounds kind of fun. It'd be fun to get the guys together and just go hang out.
I mean,
have a beer or two.
Yes, except for all the guys would have to be good at actually sim racing, or else you'd get like way last place, and it'd just be like, why didn't we just road trip to like Vegas?
Yeah, we should have just done something else.
So there's the history of Monaco. That's one big draw. And then there's obviously the reason why you think it's a very Sunday Scaries race, the luxury that accompanies it.
Ooh, the coast and the coastal vibes, just everything about it.
Monaco is one of the bougiest, poshest countries in the world, Monte Carlo being the city, which is there even another city in Monaco?
To be honest, I think a lot of people just learned that Monte Carlo is the city in Monaco. Because like I think a lot of people just think that it's just Monaco.
There can't be another city. It's so small.
Yeah, it's tiny.
It's like a square mile or something.
I mean, there's like no one that even, I mean, not that many people even live there.
Oh, the crazy thing about the people who do is that over 30% of Monaco's residents are millionaires.
Must be nice.
Another Monaco fun fact. If you are a resident of Monaco, you are not allowed to gamble in the casinos.
Really?
Yep.
Why?
I don't know. If you are a resident, you can. But if you're a citizen, you can't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've watched a few videos of like what it's like to live in Monaco, and this is from like, but it's from the super rich perspective, so it's kind of just like it doesn't hold any weight when it comes to our actual lives or us going to Monaco. Yes. I mean, the part of it, I think part of the reason why people absolutely love watching the race is solely because of the scenery and looking at the yachts next to everything.
Oh my God, the yachts are incredible. These are just massive, massive mega yachts. All the richest people in the world, and it's like it's weird because a lot of times you look at that wealth and like you're kind of like, oh, they suck.
Yeah.
But there's something about the European wealth in Monaco that's like, that's kind of a vibe.
Or when you see your favorite driver, you know, maybe crash out of the race and just walk straight to a yacht instead of going back to, you know, the pits.
Yeah. that's some people's experience.
I mean, like you just mentioned, Monaco doesn't always live up to the actual hype of the race because it's difficult to pass, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And so like, why should we care about, I mean, I know you said the historical context and stuff like that. What do we have to look forward to?
Okay. So in terms of watching the race, I mean, all the crowd shots are going to be amazing. The beautiful, beautiful scenery. I mean, the wealth that's there. It's like the Miami Grand Prix was like Monaco light, right? It was showing Michael Jordan's there, David Beckham's there. Like the people that hopefully, if the broadcast team does a good job, that we're going to see is going to be very exciting. It's like a Oscars red carpet situation, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's the race. A lot of F1, not a lot, but a select few F1 drivers actually live in Monaco these days, right?
Yeah, a lot of them do.
Leclair, Verstappen, I don't know who else.
Lando Norris lives there. I mean, a lot of them do because it's a tax haven.
Exactly.
That's literally, and they're not quiet about it. They're like, yeah, I can, there's no inheritance tax either. So when you pass away, you just give your kids everything.
Yeah.
Nothing gets taken off there. It is the world's biggest tax haven, which is part of the reason why 30% of its residents are millionaires.
I mean, and living in the place where the most prestigious race is, I mean, it would draw you in, I think, at least a little bit.
And so I would say that the other biggest draw really, because the race is, you know, not going to live up. So don't get your expectations high for the race, but get them high for qualifying. Because qualifying is the reason why you'll be most excited to watch the Monaco Grand Prix. And that is on Saturday, not Sunday.
Yes. And I think when it comes to qualifying, I enjoy watching qualifying no matter what. But I don't hesitate to skip it if I have something better to do. When it comes to Monaco, qualifying is probably the thing that you need to watch first and foremost.
Yes, because so the way that F1 works, if you're not familiar, is that qualifying, the cars do the fastest lap they possibly can across 3 rounds. And if you are fast enough, you make it out of that round to go to the next round. And wherever you land with your fastest lap is the position that you start on the grid for the Grand Prix. So for qualifying, it doesn't matter that you can't overtake because you're not trying to overtake. You're trying to just go around the circuit as fast as possible. And that's why Monaco qualifying is extremely exciting because you're watching these cars finagle their way through this really historic city, this beautiful city, going really, really, really fast, trying not to hit walls, going through these crazy crowds. The one section in the harbor, literally, well, first off, you go through this tunnel, one of the craziest turns in all of Formula One. You literally go through a tunnel for a while. It's the opening scene of Schumacher, if you ever watched that documentary. And you come out of the tunnel and you go through this crazy, crazy turn where you have to turn really, really hard left, then really, really hard right, then back left in order to not crash, in order to get the fastest lap possible. And then the cars drive for like a mile by all these mega yachts. literally right next to them.
Monaco is the reason that I retired from playing the F1 video game.
Oh my God.
I had such a difficult time conquering Monaco that I just finally said, you know what? I've gotten far enough in this game. I'm going to move on to some other game.
Yeah.
And it is that the exact turn that you described. And it's, I mean, I don't want to sound like lame. I have no comparison to F1 drivers, but playing the video game itself made me realize all that goes into it. And you're not just trying to go as fast as possible. It makes you realize like the value of pitting, the value of tires, the value of everything. And like going and racing in Monaco, it's like, okay, yeah, I can see how these guys might have a harder time passing, have a harder time just finishing. I mean, I think there's 2 instances where only 4 cars finish the race or something in Monaco, just because, I mean, it can just get dicey.
Yeah, there's usually going to be a safety car, which is if somebody crashes, but the track is still accessible, the cars go behind the safety car, which they go slow behind while they clear up the crash. I mean, but if it's a bad enough crash, they'll have to red flag the race, because in Monaco is one of the most narrow circuits in Formula One, again, because it's in an old city.
Yeah.
So if there is a crash, a lot of times they do have to, I mean, safety car for sure, but like a red flag if the car is taking up over half of the track.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, talking about how narrow the track is, you know, I love to do F1 facts, F1 history. Can I give you a little fact here?
Please.
So I think we need to look at why the race does not live up to the venue in the modern era. And it's because the layout has not changed.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Circuit de Monaco's layout remains largely unchanged. They've changed a few things, added a couple chicanes to make it a little more exciting, but almost the exact same circuit that the cars raced at in 1950 for the first Formula One race. Because, like I said, 1929 was the first Monaco Grand Prix, but 1950 was the first year that the Formula One World Championship actually occurred. So, back in 1950, the cars were 12 feet long and 4.5 feet wide.
Okay.
Nowadays, the cars are 19 feet long, so 7 feet longer, and 6.5 feet wide, so 2 feet wider, going through the same incredibly, incredibly narrow streets. So there's way less room for you to jockey for position, to overtake. Last year's Monaco Grand Prix had 1 overtake.
That's not what race fans want to hear.
It was also Mick Schumacher passing Nikita Mazepin on the first lap. And a lot of statisticians for F1 don't count first lap overtakes because it's more indicative of the start that the drivers got than it is about actually how the circuit is performing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say there was not a single overtake at last year's Monaco Grand Prix.
Well, what do we have to look forward to this year if we don't have to look forward to any overtakes?
Okay. I have 3 storylines to follow.
Okay.
So even if you're not an F1 fan, you can take these storylines, maybe watch your first F1 race this weekend. The first one is a crazy one. This is the biggest story of the weekend. It is Charles Leclerc's Monaco curse. I can already tell, as I know you're a Leclerc guy. You said you weren't going to admit it earlier. You're a Leclerc guy, right?
No.
Really?
I'm not anti-Leclerc. I don't necessarily cheer for him, but if he is doing well, I'm not upset by any means. I'm not upset by any means.
What a hot man.
Yeah. I mean, Ferrari right now just has a hot team, if we're being honest.
I would put them up with maybe the hottest F1 driver lineup of all time.
Yeah. I mean, they're both really good looking. And the fact that they're just like good friends, or I mean, appears to be good friends, who knows? They're a very likable team right now.
Oh, incredibly. I would say in terms of likable teams, people love McLaren. Daniel Ricciardo, most likable F1 driver. Even if you don't watch F1, you probably know who Daniel Ricciardo is at this point.
Mm-hmm. And he does a very good job of playing up the crowds in any venue that he's racing. Yes. I mean, there's a reason that he wears a cowboy hat when he's in Texas, and I don't even know what he does in other places, but I know that he plays it up.
He did a minute-long Ace Ventura impersonation in Miami.
Did he actually?
Yes, it's so good.
I have to admit, J-Bone, as much as I do watch F1, this season has been one of my worst viewing seasons for no other reason than I've just been busy. And I've missed so much.
Well, you have a child.
I do have a child now, but unfortunately, I mean, he's not even the reason. I think if anything, having a child keeps you home so you can watch more of this kind of stuff.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
And you're probably already awake at 6 a.m. for some of the races.
Correct, yeah.
So Charles Leclerc's curse, apparently some warlock made it his way to Monaco and just cast a spell on him. Because Charles Leclerc has raced at Monaco 5 times in his professional career, twice in the feeder league, 3 times in F1. He is 0 for 5 in finishing any of those races. And I mean, he has never crossed the finish line in 5 times in his career where he's raced at his home Grand Prix in Monaco.
That's tough. It's not ideal for him.
Yeah, last year was very heartbreaking. He was on pole position, so he was going to start the race in front. And at Monaco, the person who starts the race in front more often than not wins the race because it's so hard to overtake there.
Yeah.
Well, his car broke down literally on its way to the starting line. Like not like before the race, not during the race. His car came out of the pits, was driving to the starting line and broke down.
Yeah, he's cursed. Sorry.
Can you believe that? And the kicker is those are just the 5 times he's crashed there in his professional career. Earlier this month, there was an exhibition in Monaco where people drive around historic Formula One cars, and he crashed a old Ferrari historic car because the brakes failed.
I saw this. I didn't know why he was driving that car. I figured it was just for some kind of marketing ploy or something like that. But yeah, I saw that he crashed the classic car, and I just thought, like, you know what? Maybe he just needs to take this one off.
He just can't even cross the finish line in an exhibition. There's no pressure. I mean, that one's not his fault. It was brake failure. But some people think that right there was the curse ending, because he had a bad luck, but it didn't happen in a race.
Did you think he might have intentionally crashed the classic car to break the curse?
Well, there's a video of the brakes exploding.
Oh, okay.
So
no, probably not.
I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not.
So that's the first storyline, and he might be favored to win. I actually think he is.
I was going to ask you, but I wasn't sure if you had looked at the odds or not. But yeah, I was going to ask you if the odds reflected his bad luck in the past.
I actually think he's favored right now.
Okay.
But the guy who is definitely second favorite, if not first, is Max Verstappen, who is going for his 4th win in a row. He has never done it before in his career. He got 3 wins in a row last year.
And that's 4 wins in a row this season, not in Monaco.
Yes, correct. 4 wins in a row this season. He's on a very hot streak right now. He's been on fire, but his car has been less than reliable. He did win last race, but his car had a pretty big issue that could have impacted him. He would have definitely not won had Charles Leclerc's car not finished the race last race, which was absolutely crazy. So yeah, Max Verstappen could go for 4 in a row. That's definitely a big storyline to watch for. Max versus Leclerc has been the fight all season long.
Yeah.
If nothing else, all you need to know is Max or Leclerc. You can pick a side. That's a fun way to watch, even if you don't really know F1 that well.
I like riding with Max.
Max guy.
I don't know why.
Max gets a lot of hate, and I will say he does not deserve the hate.
Okay. That's refreshing to hear, J-Bone.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not picking favorites, but I do like Max. I like Lewis as well.
Yeah, I do choose Max if I'm going Max versus Lewis, but like watching Lewis drive and watching what Lewis has done in his career is awesome.
Yes.
And
oh my gosh.
I will never actually, like, if I make fun of Lewis or if I make any slights towards him, it's not because I actually dislike the guy. Like, I have the utmost respect for him, and it's just this is just one of those sports where, like, having the rivalry is a necessity, but I don't necessarily hate the people that are in the rivalry together.
Yeah, I completely agree. And this season's rivalry, as I said, is Max versus Leclerc. But last race, Mercedes had a huge step forward. They brought some upgrades. Their car that they have had has not been very good. They had amazing upgrades last week. There's a chance that this could turn into a 3-way battle between Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes.
Sign me up.
Yeah, we all want that. We all want that. The last little storyline to follow is that the new tires this year, they went from, I believe, 13 inches to 18 inches. Could really impact this race because Monaco is so narrow that there are some turns that now, because number one, the tires are way bigger in diameter, but also they added in these new things called over-wheel winglets that go on top of the wheels. So now the drivers are like, what, 2.5 inches higher, and their vision is obstructed by these winglets, and they need to go through very tight corners like that chicane you and I talked about that you suck at in the video game. We could easily see some crashes because I was watching some people like do sim racing in it, and it's like they're in multiple corners now that are just blind.
Yeah.
Like you need to know the track and know where to turn in because you can't see the apex because the wheels are so big and the over-wheel winglets block your view.
Well, we'll get some excitement. Hopefully some safe excitement.
Yeah, this could be this, and it might rain on Sunday.
Okay, sign me up.
If it rains and with these tire changes, this could be one of the most chaotic Monaco Grand Prix in a very long time.
That sounds like, sign me up. I'm in.
So those are your storylines to follow.
Well, Jared, let's round things out today with some classic Sunday Scaries questions about how you spend your Sundays. The first, what's your ideal Sunday outfit?
Okay. Usually, I'm an outdoor voices shorts kind of guy.
Okay.
In winter, I'll go for the Lululemon joggers.
Okay.
That I'm currently wearing, actually. But usually outdoor voices shorts.
I'm actually currently wearing I'm currently wearing a pair of outdoor voices shorts that I just purchased.
Oh.
Yeah, look at us.
I also go no shirt.
Oh, really?
If I'm on the couch.
So when you're live tweeting the races, you're shirtless.
Shirtless, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I think it's just the way I grew up. Shirtless on the couch, Sunday, watching cartoons.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. What's your go-to guilty pleasure television show?
Do you know what I'm going to say?
No. I mean, after you say it, I might say, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Burn Notice.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep, exactly.
But
yes.
it's not really a guilty pleasure. The only guilt I have is that other people shame me for it.
Yeah, you actually think Burn Notice is like the best show ever created.
I think Burn Notice is, behind Formula One, the greatest thing you can watch.
That's a take that literally no one has. No one has F1, Burn Notice, the rest.
And then professional disc golf is third.
Okay, let's go to the next
Shouts
question.
to Jomez Pro.
And Paul.
And Paul.
What's your go-to hangover cure?
Liquid IV.
Really?
Actually, yeah. I'm a huge Liquid IV hangover guy.
This is a non-spawned episode, but I mean, as you know, a podcast that has Liquid IV as a sponsor, you always love to hear that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to lie. I'm the exact same way. It's become very much a part of my hungover rotation, and I don't think it's going anywhere. Any favorite flavors?
So what I like to do is I make a Miami Vice by mixing the strawberry with the pina colada. Yeah.
I've been very into the Concord grape lately.
That one's solid.
The fact that they called it Concord grape instead of just grape is a very nice touch.
The marketing team there is so good.
Yeah.
Like I will say, the pina colada they have now, it originally was introduced as the Kygo pina colada.
Yeah.
For some reason, the Kygo made it taste better.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of hydration stick companies out there collaborating with DJs.
Exactly.
You like to see it.
There's not even a lot of hydration stick companies out there to begin with.
Jared, what self-care have you practiced lately?
So I have this year gotten extremely into reading books.
Ooh. You think you're better than us, Jared? Because you're reading books now?
A little bit. No, so my big thing was this. Every single hobby I have is digital, I realize, minus disc golf. So even when I work out, like I eat Peloton.
Exactly.
And then I have a TV screen in front of me. So I'm trying to have one hobby that I can unplug with, and it has been reading books. Some books I've read this year. Read Ready Player One, great book. I read the Payne Stewart biography about the golfer Payne Stewart, really good.
I'm very interested in that one.
Oh, so good. And then The Queen's Gambit.
Okay.
And I'm currently reading a book that I wouldn't say you recommended it to me, but you didn't directly, but The Old Man and the Sea.
Yeah.
I know you read it. So
I read that on vacation over Christmas, and people criticize me saying it's not a vacation book. I would disagree. I very much enjoyed reading it on vacation.
Were you by the water?
I was in San Diego. We were kind of off the coast, but we were close enough to the water that I kind of enjoyed it.
Don't spoil the ending. I'm at the part where the old man's at the sea.
He's in the sea. Yeah, yeah. I won't go any further than that. No, I won't go any further than that. Jared, what's on your bedside table?
Way too much crap. Every time I hear Sunday Scaries and you talk about bedside tables, I look at mine and I'm ashamed.
That's what I like about people's bedside tables, is that it shows what type of person they are.
I've got my book. Mm-hmm. I've got my Yeti, my Yeti that I drink my water out of at home. I've got this like weird orb lamp that I used to read from that I got from some French guy when he was moving out of my old apartment complex. And then it's usually like sand spurs I pick off my dog.
Oh,
yeah.
You need a container for those so they're not just sitting out.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Don't put them in your Yeti. And finally, Jared, what does your ideal Sunday consist of?
Well, if I was to pick an ideal Sunday, it is probably a 6 a.m. F1 race.
Okay.
So that, because like I said, I'm getting up at 6 a.m., but it doesn't feel like I'm getting up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Because I'm energized. Mm-hmm. Race is done at 8. I'm fully awake, ready to attack the day at 8. I can do whatever I want. I'll probably go to Summer Moon Coffee, my favorite coffee shop, get myself a nice 6-shot espresso like a complete lunatic.
Yeah, it's too much.
Go walk my dog on the lake. And at that point, it's like, 2 p.m.? That's why I love early F1 races. And then I'll probably just lay shirtless on the couch for the rest of the day. I
mean, Jared, I don't want to give you this much credit, but I have to. You have good food takes.
Thank you.
And I didn't prep you for this question. You have any Sunday recipes you've made lately that I need to go check out?
Primal Gourmet is a great influencer to follow.
Yep.
He does a lot of like Whole30 paleo stuff. His picadillo recipe.
Okay.
He does it with like fried plantains, which I don't have a plantain guy. If you know a plantain guy, DM me. I need a plantain guy. But I usually just eat it with, I just eat it as it is because it's so good. Or I like to crack an egg in there and heat it up. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Primal Gourmet, great person to follow.
Well, Jared, before we get out of here, please plug every single way that somebody can take in your content on F1 race days.
So if you enjoyed the facts that I dropped here about the Monaco Grand Prix, I have a whole 22-ish minute Monaco Grand Prix preview podcast that you can watch on YouTube right now, or you can get it wherever you listen to your podcast, wherever you're currently ingesting. Is that ingesting Sunday Scaries? Yes. Yeah. Wherever you're currently ingesting Sunday Scaries right now, there's a Formula Bone Monaco preview where you can take in that same exact platform. You can follow me on TikTok at Formula Bone. Just hit 130K, huge for me. I'm gonna go celebrate with one of those summer moon coffees. And then on Twitter, you can follow me at Formula Bone as well. At Formula Bone everywhere. My personal Instagram and Twitter is at Jared Borislow. Will, thank you so much for having me here.
Jared, of course. This is so enjoyable. Can't wait for Monaco this weekend. And everybody else, hope you enjoy your weekend. I hope you maybe sprinkle a little F1 into your Sunday routines. We'll see you guys next Sunday. Boom.
We did it.
Boom.